Now, to decode this further, we are being joined by Elizabeth Loris, who is an adjunct senior fellow at Pacific Forum and president of E. Loris Consulting. She's joining us live from Taipei. Welcome to the broadcast, Ms. Loris.
Thanks for having me.
Now, the troublemaker, in quotes, as China calls him, has won the presidential elections. What do we expect next between Beijing and Taipei?
It appears that Beijing will, hold its fire for a little while. Lai Ching-Te will not be inaugurated until May. And so it remains to be seen, in these next few months, how Beijing will react. I anticipate that Beijing is going to proceed with caution. It is going to see the rhetoric coming out of Lai Ching-Te's, office between now and the inauguration. So far, we do not have any signs that China is going to be aggressive or belligerent. I certainly believe it will continue with the military sorties that are in Taiwan's aerial identification zone. Certainly, China will have military exercises, that is, naval exercises, as they regularly do. One thing tempering Beijing's hand is that the DPP lost its majority in the legislature, indicating that the people in Taiwan did not want to give Lai Ching-Te and the DPP essentially a blank check, to do absolutely what it wants, that they prefer to have split government, which acts as a bit of a brake on the executive branch.
Right. Before the voting, in fact, China had kind of posed the entire election as if it's choosing, the voters of Taiwan are choosing between war and peace. I want to ask you, with the result that we have today, how does a narrative like this actually play out within the voters of Taiwan?
Well, you would think that Beijing would learn not to use such heated rhetoric before Taiwan elections, because it always backfires on Beijing. Here in Taiwan, there's not a lot of excitement or nervousness about Beijing's reaction to the elections and what it might do. Life goes on, and people are, waiting to see what this new administration is like. They anticipate that it will continue Tsai Ing-wen's policies. After all, Lai Ching-Te is the current president's vice president until he is inaugurated. So there's definitely that continuity. And Lai Ching-Te, I should say, first, Tsai Ing-wen and Lai Ching-Te have moved Taiwan a bit closer to Washington. Previous President Ma Ying-jeou had moved Taiwan a little closer to Beijing. We see pullback toward Washington, and the vice president-elect, Bi Kim-hsiao, was Taiwan's ambassador to the U.S., so she has very close connections in Washington.
Absolutely. Ms. Loris, very briefly, if you could, within days of Lai Ching-Te's win, island country of Nauru has severed its diplomatic ties with Taiwan and established formal relations with China. How should one read into this?
Well, of course, very disappointing for Taiwan. I am not surprised because Taiwan has been regularly losing diplomatic partners. And I would anticipate that Beijing is going to put even more squeeze on Taiwan's international space and try to persuade the remaining countries to switch from Taipei to Beijing.
All right, Ms. Loris, thank you so much for joining us here on WION and getting us all those insights from Taipei.
You're welcome.